Hello everyone, my name is Snigdha and I welcome you all to this exciting session on Modernize Your Applications using the latest RHEL 9 and Openshift. A little bit more about Modernize Technologies. We are the premium Red Hat partner and we are the technology transformation leader with more than 19 years of experience in the area of technology infrastructure, development, quality assurance and support. RHEL 9, on the other hand, provides a flexible, stable foundation to support hybrid cloud innovation and initiate a fast, consistent experience for deploying applications and work pressure across physical, private, public cloud, and edge deployments. In this session today, I'm going to ask a few questions to Vatsal. But before that, let me introduce Vatsal to the audience. It's just a formality, you know. Vatsal needs no introduction. So Vatsal is the Red Hat, former Red Hatter who comes with great knowledge, expertise, and experience as a certified Kubernetes administrator, certified Kubernetes application developer, AWS solution architect, Red Hat certified application level 10, certified Scrum Master, and certified Agile Leadership Essentials. So grab this opportunity to interact with Vatsal directly. So Vatsal, over to you.
Thank you, Snigdha. It's good to see you again on the stage. So yeah, as you have covered up, I'm basically with Pci and working as an associate director here, and I'm basically taking care of two different verticals. One is service delivery, so where I'm taking care of multiple projects and delivering a solution for the customer. And in the other hand, I'm also working, leading the training delivery, where I'll take care of all the corporate trainings as well as the retail trainings market. So that's a bit about me. Over to you, Snigdha.
And that was amazing, Vatsal. So directly, let us start with our question and answer round. So yes, the topic is what's new in RHEL 9 and Openshift. All right, so getting back to our question number one is why Red Hat Enterprise Linux?
That's a very good question, Snigdha. Why Red Hat Enterprise Linux? So just like you mentioned before, Red Hat Enterprise Linux doesn't require any introduction. It is very well known in a industry. However, if we specifically target a fresh audience, then I could say that in enterprise, generally what happens, it will be very tempting to go with the open source operating system or a kind of an unsupported operating system in terms of saving the money. But Red Hat Enterprise Linux is basically enterprise ready operating system, which can help the customers to lower the cost, as well as it provides basically baseline security to your enterprise world. So that is all about Red Hat Enterprise Linux in a small word.
Okay, that's great. So my second question that is coming to you is elaborate. Can you elaborate previous answer in details?
Sure. So if I'll try to cover that answer in a little bit more detail, let me put it in a 5 different simple points. So the first point is my cost to saving, I could say. So according to the IDC organizations that basically purchase the Red Hat Enterprise Linux subscriptions versus using a free operating system, unsupported operating systems see a greater return on an investment, I could say. And you know very well that Red Hat Enterprise Linux works on a subscription model, which is also a plus point in terms of saving the cost, because that subscription comes with a number of different features like supports and upgradations and all. So that can help enterprise very well. Second thing, streamlined migration with a minimal disruption. So there are a lot of customers who is right now not using the Red Hat Enterprise Linux, but obviously they wanted to, because of taking a security in place, they might have wanted to migrate to the Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Then Red Hat Enterprise Linux comes with the by default Red Hat Migration Toolkit, which is known as a convert to RHEL. So even if you are not using the free operating system and wanted to experience the beauty of enterprise operating system, then you can use this utility. And basically, this utility will make your journey or the basically that migration process very smooth by acting as a helping hand in the migration process. So yes, it allows us to basically migrate the open source operating system to the enterprise operating system using the convert to RHEL. Then the another point which is very, very important, I could say, which is analytics and automation. So we can able to basically increase the efficiency and performance by using the configuration and utilization based data from your deployment. So we can take advantage of a number of features like a rule-based analytical model that provide the data insights, provide the notifications about configuration issue. That could also affect reliability and the performance before it goes to the basically some sort of unplanned downtime. So in industry, what happened that just I'll give you the one simple example that there are certain enterprise applications we are running on our machines, but we are unaware that what is the current CPU utilization or what is our current memory utilization. And obviously, we are not keep on checking by after every second. So such kind of automation and analytical data can help us to prevent from those kind of a downtime, because we know that after certain amount of time the CPU is going to be or expected to be at this particular level. So that's where the analytics and automation is playing a very major role. Apart from that, Red Hat Enterprise Linux is very well known for the built-in security and the compliance compatibilities, or I could say capabilities. So migrate your risk of being exposed to vulnerabilities with automated and repeatable security controls. So what we can do here is we can enforce the security configurations and policy so that we can maintain our security in a more effective way. Also, we can streamline our compliance strategy by planning it in a proper way. So that is more into security. And there is one more very important point which I have faced multiple times when I used to work in a small organization. So when we plan our entire architecture, we just think about how we can save the cost. But there are certain software which are basically tightly coupled with the kind of a hardware model or the cloud provider. Or in a simple way, I could say that I have some software which will be not supported by the certain vendor. So in those kind of a situation, we are stuck at the kind of a vendor lock-in system. But that is something which we can avoid using the Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So we can maintain your preferred hardware, software, and cloud vendors to meet your business needs. Because Red Hat is partnered with, I could say, 5,000 plus certified third-party hardware vendors, which is covering all the major hardware vendors. Then software is also a major piece of this entire architecture or this ecosystem. So there are more than 4,500 plus certified third-party software vendors are also available, which is dealing with the Red Hat, or they have tie-up with the Red Hat, I could say. And there are 140 plus certified cloud providers are available, where we, or I could say where the Red Hat Enterprise Linux is compatible with their particular environment. So that's where we don't get into the kind of a situation that, okay, we are in a vendor locking kind of a system, so that we can avoid by using such kind of a certified operating system. So this is all about the Red Hat Enterprise Linux, but I'm sure you might have seen that Red Hat has come up with the new release of Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9 recently, and it came with a lot of different other advancements as well. So hope Snigdha, I managed to answer your question in 5 different points.
Yes. So my next question is going to be, why RHEL 9? Why should we care about it, and how it can help us to minimize the overhead in the industry?
RHEL 9 is going to be a very major part in IT industry modernization, I could say. So the Linux operating system is designed to drive more consistent innovation across the open hybrid cloud. So from bare metal servers to the cloud providers and the furthest edge of the enterprise network. So from now, whatever I'm talking about, that is all related to RHEL 9, which is Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9. So I will not keep on saying Red Hat Enterprise 9. The RHEL 9 is basically, the short term. So RHEL 9 is designed to drive enterprise transformation in parallel with evoking market focus, forces and customer demands in automated, distributed IT world, I could say. Now, uh, when it comes to the Red Hat Enterprise Linux from last 2 decades, RHEL has served as a backbone of the IT enterprise, I could say, both in the data center or whether it is a cloud provider. So emphasizing customer choice and the flexibility, because we have a opportunity that we can able to deploy our RHEL environment, whether it is cloud, whether it is virtual machine, whether it is your bare metal environment, right? So with this platform for innovation, so where exactly the customers are deploying their RHEL environment. So that can be used for the kind of a new innovation. Red Hat customer can choose their underlying architecture, application vendor, or the cloud provider with the consistency necessary for the modern IT infrastructure. Now, it can run your code effectively, or I could say efficiently, whether it is deployed on any kind of environment. But right now we know that there is a one word which is very booming in the market, which is known as something called containers, right? So obviously everybody has heard about the container. Even they don't know about the container, but container is something which is available in almost 99% industries, or at least they are testing those environments. So Red Hat will provide a specifically UBI images that can be again UBI images created using the Red Hat Enterprise Linux. So this image can also be leveraged in container world. So these are the number of different benefits are there, and that's the reason we should go ahead and use the Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9.
That's great. That's great. So my next question to you is, can you please deep dive into technical details of RHEL 9?
Uh, sure, Simla. So basically, there are multiple new different functions and core things are introduced with the RHEL 9. But if I'll go ahead and focus on a very important point, which is, and I must start the particular statement with the get access to the latest language runtime and the tools. So the moment I'll say language runtime, I can see that there are certain developers are laughing, right? Because they are going to get some good news. So RHEL 9 is ready with a multiple latest runtime and compilers, which includes the Go, LLVM, GCC, and so on. So the new feature in the GCC compiler help user in a multiple ways, like tracking, debugging, optimization of their particular code uh, for hardware usage, I could say. And we should also thankful to a new modification which has happened in the C++ and the C code compilation method, which is basically make users interaction with the hardware at the core level more smoother. So that is another function or another new things I could say, or improvements in the RHEL 9. Apart from that, with next generation application stream, developer will have more choices when it comes to the versions of the popular runtimes and a tool. So Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9 or RHEL 9 improves the application stream experience by providing initial application stream versions. So a wide range of supports has been enabled, or the language runtime has been enabled in a RHEL 9 environment. Like to give a few example, I could say Python 3.9 has been introduced, Node.js 16 is also introduced, and Ruby 3.0.3 version is also introduced, PHP 8.0 is there, and there are many more runtimes are there, which is by default coming with the RHEL 9 environment. So we are also now able to build the another new feature, I could say. We can also be able to build the new RHEL custom image for the testing and development using the image builder tool. So yes, image builder tool is by default there in the RHEL 9 environment, which can allow us to create a customized image. So this is again enable user to quickly spin up the customized RHEL development environment on a local, or it can be on premises, or it can be your cloud platform. So we can create our custom image and we can quickly deploy that image on any of choice of your platform, I could say. Uh, Apart from that, another benefit which we get with image builder is that custom file system, I could say. So you must have heard about the kickstart file if you are familiar with the Linux environment. So similar to the kickstart, we can automate the entire operating system installation. Similar to that, we have a specifically custom file system that can be created using this particular image builder utility, and we can specify the disk layout, and uh, we will be able to deploy that particular operating system on, again, choice of your platform. So when we are talking about the many new advancements, how we can go ahead and forget the most important part, which is, I could say, monitoring, because monitoring is a very, very important part, I could say, when it comes to the running enterprise workload. Because if we won't be able to monitor our environment, we won't be able to predict the risk, or we won't be able to identify the upcoming risk, right? So what is coming in a RHEL 9, or what has came in along with the RHEL 9? So Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9 Web Console has enhanced the performance metric page that can help us to identify potential cause of the high CPU, memory, or it can be your disk utilization, or the basically network resources usage spike kind of things we can be able to monitor. And the best part of this new console is that whatever the informations are captured by the RHEL 9, those informations can be exported to the Grafana server as well. So if you have your Grafana already running in your environment, just go ahead, connect your RHEL 9 with your Grafana, and you will be able to export out all the data from RHEL 9, and you can put it on the Grafana server, and you can create a proper dashboard to monitor it according to your need. So basically, Grafana or Prometheus kind of things, we can merge it together, and we can create our own custom dashboard where we can able to see all this information in our way, I could say. That is one another thing. Then now the next one is the most awaited feature, I could say, because RHEL 9 is now supporting the live kernel patching as well. So I have seen in a multiple industries, whenever there is a new security vulnerabilities or anything very critical updates related to the kernels are available, we need to buy a downtime with our customer or in our environment. But that is not the case anymore with the RHEL 9. In RHEL 9, what we can do is we can just simply go ahead and use, or I could say, take a help of our web console, and we will be able to do a live patch our kernels, so that there will be no downtime. And obviously, when there is no downtime, our development and production applications will be not affected while patching this particular environment. Then the next point, I could say, yeah, everything is awesome, all good, but what is there related to the container? Because container is a core part of container has become the core part of the IT industries now, right? So yes, we have the new features are also available with the in terms of container. So RHEL 9 is by default shipped with the control groups, and recent release of the Podman, which improves our container world, where we can be able our container very effectively. So that is the one thing we have available. And obviously, when it comes to the container, for those who are using the RHEL environment inside the container, then obviously the UBI images are coming into the picture. So RHEL 9 UBI is also available in a standard, micro, minimal, or init image configurations, which range in sizes. Basically, smallest size is around about 7.5 to 80 to 85 MB, which is really good, I could say, right? So running an entire operating system with a 7.5 or 9 MB, and then you are running your application on RHEL 9, what could be the better has happened to what could be better options here, right? So these are the number of different container related features are also there, but there are also security related changes are also came up with the RHEL 9. So in security, with Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9, root user authentication with a password over SSH has been disabled by default. So now you won't be able to directly go ahead and SSH using the root user to your machine anymore. So the OpenSSH default configuration disallow root user login with password. Thereby, then why we are doing this? So that we can basically prevent the attackers from gaining access to the brute force password attacks, right? So that is the one security related change. Apart from that, OpenSSL 3.0 that is also added there. So this is something which is adding adds a provider concept, and that's where the new versioning scheme, and we will be able to get the more control over the HTTPS, basically nothing but the security mechanism. So that is also there. So these are the kind of big changes that has happened in RHEL 9, or I could say that these are the new breathtaking features which is coming with the RHEL 9, or which has already arrived with RHEL 9. So yeah, like that. Smita, over to you.
All right. I must say it's much elaborated, and I'm sure you're going to get a lot more inquiries on Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9 or RHEL
I'm
9.
sorry that I'm going a little bit more into technical details, but this is something which customers should know in terms of what is new upcoming, and these are the things which will be later on captured by the industries.
Yes. So let me put up my final question to you, and I think this is the most important question by having known the technicalities of RHEL 9. So the last question to you is, what is your advice to the students or working professionals? I mean, should they upgrade or get certified on RHEL 9?
That's a good question, Snigdha. And whatever I have talked about RHEL 9, that is something obviously coming into the IT industries, right? So the whatever the features we talked about, they are going to attract the IT industries or enterprise world for the security needs or for that stability need. Or obviously the RHEL 9 is now more going towards hybrid model, right? So obviously, if you have a hybrid infrastructure, that's where also RHEL 9 is going to take the place, and that's where they will be obviously going to look for a certified people who know very well, or I could say certified professional who knows very well how exactly the RHEL 9 and the core of RHEL 9 is working. So I think you should not delay, and you should get yourself certified. If you are already certified on RHEL 6, RHEL 7, or RHEL 8, you can also go ahead and upgrade your certification so that you can go and match with your current IT case. And it's simple, right? When we talk about the container world, when we talk about the Kubernetes and all, obviously this Red Hat Enterprise Linux is going to be backbone of all of this IT needs. So if it is a backbone, if something went wrong inside your backbone, then obviously we require professional people who can go ahead and help us to identify those kind of such critical issues and fix it very quickly, because we know that how bigger the Kubernetes stack, how bigger this OpenStack stack, or there are multiple other applications you might be running on top of your base operating system. So your operating system is gone, it means that everything, whatever you are running on top of it, is gone. So uh, uh, RHEL 9 professionals are playing a very critical role, I could say, or professional Linux people are playing a very critical role in IT industries in terms of managing the infra needs. So that's the reason they should go ahead and certify it. Yeah, that is a semi-technical answer I could give.
Wow, must say it was much informative. So, Vatsal, my next question to you is, what is OpenShift?
Nikta, I could go ahead and talk about OpenShift for an entire day, because OpenShift is a very big product. But just to give a basic idea about what exactly the OpenShift is, I could say that container orchestration is a fundamental enabler for digital transformation initiatives. However, as monolithic application transition to containerized service, it can be a tedious to manage this kind of a application with a legacy infrastructure. So that's where the container world came into the picture, and on top of it, we have a orchestrator who is helping us to managing those applications in a much good way, and that is what OpenShift is. So Red Hat OpenShift Container Platform, which is also known as an RHOCP, allows developer and IT organizations to better manage application lifecycle. I could say end-to-end lifecycle. RHOCP is based on the Kubernetes open source project, and which is basically helping us to extend the platform with the features that brings the robust, flexible, and scalable container platform to the customer's data center, and also enabling developers to run their workload in a highly available environment. So these are the, I guess, conclusion of a short what is OpenShift question, I could say. However, we are going to talk a lot about it.
Great. So my another question is, why OpenShift?
Maybe if you can share this slide, I have put it one diagram in that slide where we can be able to see that. See, first of all, let's talk about the journey. Why OpenShift and why Kubernetes and all those things are coming into the picture. So initially, what happened that we used to deploy the application in a traditional way. So traditional way is when we, I could say, we have a hardware. On top of that, we are putting our operating system on top of it, and then we will just go ahead and install our application on top of it. But whatever the applications are running on top of the host operating system, obviously they get access to all the host library, as well as they have they are utilizing all the CPUs and memory, and we don't have any specific way to isolate them. And that's where the I could say virtualization came into the picture. But in a virtualization also, what we are doing is we have a host operating system, or I could say in a virtualization term, we have a hypervisor. So on top of the hypervisor, we are creating hundreds of virtual machines, and in each virtual machine has its own operating system. And on top of that, we are again installing our application. So when we install the 100 operating system, also it will basically not a cost-effective solution, I could say, because for each and every operating system, we have a subscriptions, or we might be paying some sort of a cost for supporting those operating system. And also we are stuck at the same situation where we have a host operating system and application running on top of it, which is completely accessing the entire host operating system, right? Or the virtual host operating system. So that's where container came into the picture. So just to give a small introduction about container, if you are not familiar, containers are basically a kind of a solution which will allow us to run the application in a very small thin operating system. So container images are nothing but the very thin operating system layer, which has a very minimal libraries, which basically contain the only library which we require to run our applications. So that way we can run our application in a more effective way, and our resource utilization is very low in those kind of a situation. So that's where containers become a very popular in a market. But what we have seen after the initial journey, everyone is moving towards the container. But when you have a 5 application, it's good to manage the container. When you have a 10 application, okay, it's good to manage the containers. But when it comes to the 100 or thousands of applications running in a container, how are you going to manage that, right? So that is again a painful part in those kind of a situation. So that's where we required someone who can help us to manage our entire container workload, I could say. So that's where Kubernetes is coming into the picture. But in Kubernetes environment also, there are a lot of manual things are there which we require to manually manage. So that's where the OpenShift is coming into the picture with a multiple number of different functionalities, which can basically allow us to manage our container workload very effectively, or I could say in a kind of a automated fashion. So yeah, that's the reason OpenShift is coming into the picture and booming in the market right now. Yeah.
Great, great. Yeah. So another question to you, Vatsal, is this is actually going very interesting. So I'm coming up with lots and lots of questions for you. So yeah, another question is, how does the OpenShift architecture looks like?
When we talk about the OpenShift architecture, OpenShift, as I mentioned, OpenShift is collection of hundreds of things, I could say, because it provides the completely end-to-end solution to the customer, whether it is like a application building or whether it is deploying the application. So if you look at that slide, there is one more architecture given related to the OpenShift environment, where we can see that uh, uh, by default, we can able to run our environment on any platform, whether it is virtual environment, whether it is your physical machine, whether it is your private cloud or public cloud. So OpenShift can fit into any of your platforms, right? On top of that, we have our Linux environment. Obviously, OpenShift is running on a RHEL 8 or maybe the core OS, I could say technically. So CoreOS is again another operating system which is specifically designed to run the container workload itself, which has its own runtime and packaging model so that it can effectively manage the container workload. Then on top of that, we have a certain functionalities like a networking related solutions. Like we have heard about the multiple plugins like OVS, I could say, Multus plugin and network aggregators, and a lot of other things are there that is there as in functions. Apart from that, we have a storage solution available or provided by the OpenShift environment as in fashion of kind of a configuration, or we have a multiple drivers are available, or I could say we have a multiple operators are available. So we can just go ahead on OpenShift console, select the operators for maybe S3 bucket, I could say, or maybe some sort of a for block storage. We can just enable that operator and we will be able to utilize those storage in our environment. So compared to Kubernetes, whatever we are doing manually, those things are automated in the OpenShift environment, right? Then OpenShift comes up with its own internal registries, which can be now available in a multiple fashion, or it has a number of different functions are available, which we will talk in a short while when I will talk about what's new in the OpenShift 4.10. Then OpenShift has an operator hub. So that operator hubs offer a number of different functions which we can just enable and work on it. So if we talk about log and metrics, so we have a EFK stack available, which is Elasticsearch, Fluentd, and Kibana, I could say. So those things can be also just installed as an operator, and we will be able to utilize all those functionalities. When we talk about security, so security is a very important part of any IT infrastructure. It's not about OpenShift, whether it is OpenStack, whether it is purely Linux environment, or whether it is something else. But yes, we need to take care of the security. So we have a multiple ways, like we can be able to declare our security according to your requirements. I could say, so basically declarative security is there, or maybe we have a container vulnerability management is also provided. We have a network segmentation is also provided as a part of security. Then also we have a certain utility which we can enable, which can help us to detect the threats, and then it also provides the certain notifications to us. So those kind of a security functionality will make our environment more and more secure. Now, on top of all of these functions, what we have a container orchestration cluster and cluster management, I could say. So obviously, all those functions are running as a container, right? But we need someone who can manage those containers, whether it is our application workload, whether it is our functions workload, whatever it is. So that's where Kubernetes is coming into the picture. So Kubernetes is basically helping us to manage all these workload in a more effective way. And again, when I will say Kubernetes, obviously we are talking about the enterprise world. So I'm not talking about the open source Kubernetes. The Kubernetes which is used in OpenShift environment is a little bit tweaked and fine-tuned to run the enterprise workload. So that's how we are running our application. But we as a human, we are not happy with anything, right? So that's where we required automation. Right now, we know that entire world is going towards the automation, and nobody requires manual hands-on on top of your environment. So what we will do is we will automate it. So I have seen multiple customer with one of four. I'm right now managing 4 or 5 projects. So what customers are doing there, they have a CI/CD pipeline enablement. So they are taking a help of number of different utilities like a Jenkins and other tools are there, which will allow you to write those pipeline, and whenever the new code will be deployed, it will be automatically get deployed inside your environment, right? So the application building, and so the next point is build automation, if you can see here. So generally with Kubernetes, what happened, developers will build the application, then they will send a mail to that building team that, hey, I'm done with my code. Could you please just go ahead and build that application for me? In OpenShift environment, we don't have that limitations. OpenShift by default comes with the utility known as something called S2I. So that S2I is kind of a utility which will automatically pick up the code, identify the runtime which is there inside that particular code, and it will pull the specific builder image from the repository, and it will start building your application. Right? Isn't it good? I'm just pushing my code and then entirely it will build the application, and then also it will deploy it inside your environment. Obviously, this is a flow, but you can be able to break it according to your approval strategies and how you want that application to be built in. So this kind of automation is provided by the OpenShift environment, which is not there in the Kubernetes. So this is where OpenShift is winning the war. Now, I'm sure that our audience might be thinking that, hey, Vatsal, what in the case if the building automation you are talking about, how application will identify, or how exactly the OpenShift will identify that what are the number of different runtimes are there? Or maybe the question is, what in case if I wanted to build my custom builder image, can we able to do that? Yes, obviously we will be able to do that. So we have a certain utility, again, as to a utility available, which can allow us to build our builder images and application as well. So we can create our custom runtime, and then we can merge it inside the image, and we can able to do it. So that's where we can automate our environment. Now, on top of this, we have a service catalog available. So if you have seen OpenShift console, when you go to the dashboard, we have a service catalog available. So that catalog is by default offering a multiple different language and runtimes. Like we will be able to see the PHP, we will be able to see the Python, we will see the Go, and there are a lot of runtimes are enabled by OpenShift environment. So for your application, you don't need to go out of the OpenShift environment. You can just go ahead and select your appropriate runtime. Even if it is not there, build your own runtime and push it to the registry so that you can be able to utilize that for your custom applications as well. So those kind of we have available, and obviously this is something appreciated by each and every IT industries who is working on OpenShift environment, because this is something which is removing a lot of overhead from the customer side, I could say. So yeah, that's the answer about how exactly the architecture of OpenShift environment look like. And if you go to the next slide, Snigdha, you can be also able to see that by default OpenShift 4.11 or 4.10 is using the Cryo engine, which is container runtime interface, which is 1.24 version, and we are also using the Kubernetes 1.24. So I could say you can understand the difference between a plain vanilla cake and then there is another cake which has a multiple different chocolates and pineapples and everything is available on top of that cake, right? So which will be much appreciated. So vanilla is obviously the plain cake, but everyone loves chocolates and those pineapple stuff and all. So OpenShift, I could say that cake with vanilla and pineapple and chocolates and all. However, vanilla is nothing but our pure open source Kubernetes environment. So we are taking that Kubernetes source code. We will make it enterprise ready. We will put our own custom solutions on top of it, and that's how the OpenShift is built it.
Great. Yeah, I think we are going through a sumptuous session. All right. So yes, if you can elaborate further, Vatsal, on what are the requests for enhancement?
Request for enhancement is something Red Hat has started, and which is really good initiative, I could say, because generally Red Hat is the pioneer in building a number of different products, and they are working with a number of different customers. But sometimes what happen, the certain customer who is not tied up with Red Hat, and or maybe anybody who is even tied up with Red Hat and we wanted to provide their own suggestions to Red Hat that, hey, this is something which we can enable, that can enable the more functions in OpenShift environment, or we can be able to effectively manage our workload. So in those kind of a situation, these RFPs are coming into the picture. So let me put it this way. Are you using OpenShift from a while and have a few questions in your mind, like I could say, how do I request a suggestion or improvements or enhancement to the executable, right? Another question is there a channel or method to request a product improvements? How I can help to grow that product in a more effective way? Where can I go ahead and make a request for product improvement? So there are certain questions in people's mind, and that's where these RFPs are coming into picture. So few of the example, if I could give, they have recently enabled the support for day 2, where the changes in a static network configuration, where static network configuration can become obsolete and need to be updated after the cluster deployment. So kind of a suggestion, or one more example I could give, which is capture machine config daemon event in operator events, right? So this is something which provides a way to check the configuration regularly so that administrator can know about the potential problem which is going to be happen in a sooner time. So those kind of functions or those kind of suggestions people has given to Red Hat, and Red Hat has actually enabled those in a new OpenShift, or I could say OpenShift version 0.10, right? So that's how RFEs are helping in a very effective way to improve or get the product improved in a proper manner, right? So that is what all about RFEs.
Great, great. So the another question I think would be suitable here is OpenShift. Can you talk a little bit more about OpenShift 4.10 Spotlight features?
If we talk about OpenShift 4.10 Spotlight feature, then this is something which is being highly technical, I could say, because OpenShift, I have seen OpenShift growing very rapidly, I could say, because when I have started working with OpenShift, I think I was on I have started on 3.6 version, then the 3.9 came, and then the with 3.11 it completely changed the way we are installing the OpenShift environment, the way we are managing our OpenShift environment. Everything has completely changed. So first feature, if I will go, if you can see in the next slide, there is something called Sandbox Container. So that is also a new enhancement in the OpenShift world. And if we talk about the Sandbox Container, so OpenShift Sandbox Containers are basically on the Kata Containers open source project. And this is something which provides an open container initiative, compliant container running using a very lightweight virtual machine, running your workloads in their own isolated kernel, I could say. So this kind of a feature has its own benefits. So if we talk about what is the benefit of Sandbox Container, so I could say isolate the developer's environment and privilege scoping purpose. Then second one is legacy containerized workload isolation. That is another benefit which developers are getting. Then multi-tenancy and resource sharing, when we talk about the CI/CD jobs or CNF job, those kind of things will be utilized in a proper way. Then additional isolation with the maybe native Kubernetes user experience improvement is another benefit we can say for this Sandbox Container. So this kind of a number of different benefits are provided. If we talk about the next slide, which might talk about OpenShift disconnect, could you please confirm, Snigdha? Is it the disconnected? Yeah. So OpenShift disconnected, this is what I was talking about earlier, that registry has its own features. That's what I have mentioned, right? So when we talk about disconnected, there are single command to get a registry and a single command to mirror the content. These are the new features are available. However, you can see that single command to mirror content is right now in a tech preview. And so if I will talk about those two features in 2-3 lines, then you can mirror the contents of your OpenShift container platform registry and the images that are required to generate the installation program with a one single go. The mirror registry is nothing but the kind of a key component that is required to complete an installation in a restricted network, because we have seen certain banks where they don't want it to directly connect their environment with over the internet. So what they can do is we can create an offline registry, and then later on we can do the installation, because obviously when we install OpenShift, there are certain images and other configurations are required, which might be get pulled from the key registry or other registries or Red Hat registry, I could say. So you can create this mirror on a Bastion host, which is nothing but the part of one installation, and which can access both internet in your internet, as well as the other end is connected to your internal closed network. And that's where you will be able to install your OpenShift environment. A little bit on single command to mirror, I could say. For content mirroring, I could say single CLI utility we have available, which will allow us to mirror all the OCP contents like your images, your operator, your Helm chart. You can just execute the OC mirror and it will take care of all of those things. So this is a kind of a new eye-catching or highlighted features there with OpenShift 4.10. Next slide, please.
Sure.
Okay. Compliance. When we talk about the compliance and operator, compliance is what we need to understand. First of all, what is compliance? Compliance are basically a kind of a way which can teach us or which can guide us how we can go ahead and maintain our OpenShift security environment. So as I have specified here, what we can do is customers will be able to scan, report, remediate compliance issue using the following profiles. So there are certain profiles that are available, and each one of the profile has its own set of security defined inside those operators, and we can be able to design the security in such a way. So if I'll talk about one of them, which is Pci Dss. So this specific operator or compliance profile is designed for the payment card industry data security standard. So the payment card data industry security standard, which is known as an Pci Dss, is nothing but a set of security standard designed to ensure that all the companies that accept, process, store, or transmit the credit card information, and that's where how we can maintain the secure environment, right? So another example similar to that, I could say FedRAMP is another security policies or profiles we have available. So FedRAMP moderate is impact level is the standard for the cloud computing security. So if we are working on a cloud environment and we wanted to maintain the secure environment, we can go ahead with this kind of a profiles like a FedRAMP, right? So this is the one basic idea about what exactly the profiles. However, there are multiple profiles are available, and also there are certain other tools are available which can keep on poking you related to the security vulnerabilities there in the OpenShift environment, or maybe if we have not configured OpenShift in a proper way. But obviously, by default, OpenShift doesn't do that. We require to enable certain Red Hat products, and we need to tightly couple those products together so that they can work effectively. So that's all about the compliance. Now, the next feature which I'm going to talk, which was requested by the customer from a very, very long time, I could say, and MetalLB BGP support is now available with OpenShift version 4.2. So MetalLB has two modes to announce reachability information for the load balancer IP address. So if you have worked on OpenShift environment, or if you have worked on this MetalLB and all, then only you will be able to understand this terminologies. So we have L2 available with the L2 was introduced in OpenShift version 4.9, and the BGP is also now supported in OpenShift version 4.10. So you will be able to see the basic configuration screenshot over there, right? So BGP FRR mode is also enabled, so that's where the traffic can target the multiple nodes. So route can perform a load balancing across the cluster using the ECMP protocol, right? So this is how the MetalLB is going to work with the 4.10, and obviously you can tweak it according to your needs, right? Next. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay. All right. So if we can talk a little bit about OpenShift pipelines.
Yeah, sure. OpenShift pipeline is again a kind of a very a good tool which is integrated with OpenShift environment. So generally what we do with the Kubernetes, we have a Jenkins and all other things are in place. And using the Jenkins, we are managing and maintaining our pipeline. However, with OpenShift environment, you are privileged to manage and take care of your pipelines from the OpenShift console itself. And OpenShift pipeline 1.7 is available with the 4.10 version. And also there is a certain functions like pipeline as in code, which might be the new or other eye catcher, I could say. So pipeline as a code is also available, but remember that with 4.10 version, it is going to be in a kind of a technical preview right now, and then later on it will be introduced with a standard OCT environment. So task run and image signing with Tecton chain is also right now in a tech preview model right now. So you must have heard about the Tecton, right? So Tecton is also another way of managing your pipeline, which allows you to manage your pipeline using the only and only command line, right? So either you can manage it through the command line, either you can manage it through the console or other option. But managing the pipeline with command line is something very unique, I could say. We can also run the task in a kernel user namespace. So root in a container and non-root on host kind of things are also going to be there, or it is also available with the OpenShift 4.10 version. So that's about the pipeline.
Okay. So while we're talking about the pipeline, what is OpenShift GitOps?
I think GitOps is something which doesn't require any introduction. GitOps, you might have obviously heard about GitOps a lot right now, because when we talk about the procedures, plan and procedure, I could say. So when we talk about the plan and procedure, this kind of a GitOps way is coming into the picture, where right now what IT industries want that I don't want to go ahead and make a kind of a configuration. I don't want to store my configurations within the OpenShift environment. What I will do is I wanted to store all my configurations related to my application, related to my whatever I'm deploying on top of OpenShift environment. It should be stored somewhere on a SCM, which is source control management repositories like a Git or Bitbucket or something. So that's where this particular GitOps concept is coming into the picture. So with OpenShift 4.10, we have a GitOps 1.5 available, and also support of Argo CD 2.3 support is also available. So what generally people are doing is they are storing the code inside repository. There will be the Argo CD, which is acting as a mediator in between. And whenever the code change happen, it will ensure that whatever the code change has happened in the Git repository, that will be get applied inside your OpenShift environment. So you have a different way of managing your code altogether, and anything, just in case worst come worst situation, if something happen inside OpenShift environment, you have your code available, or maybe if you have a DR side, you can just go ahead and change the channel, and you would be able to deploy the same workload in another cluster as well. So this way, if you are managing multiple clusters, let's assume that I have seen multiple companies who has 5, 10 different clusters are available for the different purpose. But there are obviously certain application which is running for a different purpose or for the same purpose in all the cluster together. So in those kind of a situation, we can use this GitOps and manage our application and deploy our workload in a more effective way. So that's about the GitOps, I could say.
And if you can talk a little bit about serverless, OpenShift serverless.
Yeah, so the word itself is saying we don't require serverless, wind out everything. Serverless is again a new function. So generally, again, I could not say new function. It was there from a long time. AWS has also its own serverless functionality, and we have seen there are a lot of cloud provider who is providing those functions. So just to give a basic example, why we require serverless, there are obviously certain type of workload which will not be accessed all the time. So why to keep those applications running, right? We could be able to stop the application, and we can just wake that application up as and when needed. So that is the kind of a situation where the serverless is coming into the picture. So we have a Knative support for 1.0 version with the OpenShift version. Mm, 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 OpenShift 4.10 version. With 4.10, we have a Knative 1.0 available. And here what we can do is we can able to build our serverless kind of a platform on top of OpenShift environment itself using this Knative tools. And with 4.10, we have two new things which is available as in tech preview. One is Knative Kafka Sync, and Apache Kafka based Knative brokers are also available as in tech preview. So obviously it will be added in upcoming releases like 4.11 or 4.12 or something. So 4.11 is also coming right now. There are a lot of things are going on with the 4.11, and hope to see that 4.11 with a number of different uh, another uniqueness of OpenShift, I could say. So that's about the serverless.
Okay. So I'm sorry I'm taking a lot of your time, but this is really interesting session. I have a couple of more questions like OpenShift service mesh. If you can little bit to talk about this. What is OpenShift service mesh?
Yeah, so as we say, service mesh is a kind of a solution which can allow us to remove the mesh which we might have created in our environment. So generally, we have seen that why we came on this OpenShift and container journey, because the moment we have moved from monolithic architecture to microservice architecture, right? And we have chopped up our application in 1,000 of different pieces. Now, in those kind of a situation, all those pieces or 1,000 pieces are running on our OpenShift environment or maybe on a Kubernetes environment. So that's where what happened. Managing 1,000 container is quite difficult. However, the OpenShift and Kubernetes is going to manage that. But when it comes to managing specifically security, or I could say the certificate authority and all, this is something which becomes a painful part. Or if we talk about BSFI sectors where there are a lot of payment applications are running, a lot of transactions are happening, and obviously there are multiple PCs are connected together. And if something went wrong in between that application, or if I wanted to figure out that from where exactly my traffic is passing, how exactly the traffic flow is behaving, or maybe I have seen a customer who has a specific requirement of achieving zero point 0.2 microseconds or 5 microseconds of time for that particular transaction. So how you will be able to do that? Where you will be able to go and figure out that, okay, from service A to service B or application A to application B, this is going to take half millisecond. How you will be able to find out that? And if you have thousands of applications, how you can manage those security? If I wanted to configure that my application A can able to talk to application B, but make sure that application B and application A is not talking to the application X and application Y. So how we can manage those kind of a configuration? So that's where this OpenShift service mesh is coming. And it has a Citadel and STOD and kind of a components are available. And with OpenShift 4.10, I could say we have a service mesh 2.2 available. Again, estimated type of time of arrival was April 22. So it is already available. And this this particular service mesh 2.2 is using, as I mentioned, STO 1.12 and Kiali 1.47. This is the main feature, and this is the main reason why we require the service mesh in a kind of a very complex environment to make our life more and more easy. So that's about the service mesh.
Great, great. I must say this is very much interesting session so far. So just a couple of more, like what are the supported providers?
Yeah, so we or I could say, sorry, I'm still in a Red Hat world. Red Hat is still always keep in mind that the customer should not be locked in some specific way. So what Red Hat is doing is they have enabled this OpenShift environment on a multiple different cloud providers. So if you can see in that particular slide, we will be able to see that there are a number of different providers are go one step up. Yeah. So number of different providers are supported by OpenShift environment. So if we see here, we have a AWS, GCP is also there. We have OpenStack, virtualization, bare metal, vSphere, Alibaba, Azure, Stack Hub, and IBM Clouds are something newly introduced. And again, this is all about IPI mechanism. So yes, we have a two installation method. One is IPI, which is uh, uh, one way of installing, or I could say complete automated way of installation. And there is another way, which is UPI, which is user provision infrastructure, where we have the full-on control over the OpenShift, that how it should be installed. So that's where we have also number of different providers like AWS, Google Cloud, OpenStack, virtualization, IBM Z, and all are supported. However, if I'm not wrong, as far as I know the story of 4.11, IBM Z and there are certain other providers are going to be retired. So there are one or two providers which they are retiring soon. So yeah, but yes, these are the all providers are supported. So whatever the major platforms are there, it is available there to install our OpenShift on top of it. So that's the story of supported providers. And yeah, I guess that's all.
So if we can talk about this other important features.
If you ask me about the important feature, I could have created slide of around about 50, 60 page, but obviously the audience will sleep in between, because whatever the features we are talking about, they are very technical. So obviously there are some of the professional are sitting over there, and a few of the students are there. So just to give a basic idea about what are the number of different features are there. So we can see here we have external DNS operators are also going to join soon. So if your OpenShift is running somewhere else and you wanted to integrate your cloud provider DNS, you will be able to do that. Then there are certain network enhancements are also going to happen. Then OpenShift virtualization is also going to be there with a number of different data protection, additional deployment options will be also available, and workload acceleration will be provided by the new OpenShift environment. Cert Manager, we have seen that managing the certificates are also sometimes painful part, right? So for that also we have a few features are coming. VM lift and shift to the OpenShift environment. So yes, you heard it correct. If you are not aware about this new things, again, this is not so new thing, I could say, but OpenShift is now supporting the virtual machine directly. So if you wanted to run your workload in virtual machine instead of container, then you will be able to do it. And also it supports the Windows hypervisor as well. So yeah, but this has to be pre-planned. Again, this is all architectural thing. But yes, you wanted to migrate your current VM to the OpenShift environment, you will be able to do it with this VM lift and shift kind of a new feature. Then distributed deep learning training with the GPUs. So we must have seen, again, I'm a bit active on a kind of a certain blogs and Twitter where I'll keep on reading about all of this. So NVIDIA has done a lot of work with the Red Hat, and there are certain GPU is also now supported with OpenShift environment. So if you have any application where you are doing a deep learning kind of thing or kind of a gaming sort of a thing, when you wanted to stream it on top of the OpenShift environment, yes, we can take a support of GPU as well, and we will be able to do it. Operator SDK enhancements are also going to be there, where it will make your life more easy in terms of software development cycles. And operator lifecycle management enhancement will be also there, so that you can manage and maintain your operator in a more effective way. And then obviously there are a lot of telco providers who is moving towards the OpenShift environment to run their telco workload. So there are NUMA and topology aware schedulation. So another type of scheduling mechanism of your workload that is also going to be there. However, right now it is in a technology preview, which is more focused on a kind of a 5G solution. So these are the number of different features are there. And again, this is a few feature of the OpenShift environment. There are, I could say, 50, 60 new features are also there, which I think we cannot talk. Otherwise, this webinar has to be created 2-3 hours long. So yeah, that's the upcoming features are there.
So that was really great and very much motivating, encouraging, and I'm sure audience are enjoying with this knowledge sharing platform with you, Vatsal. And great. So here we come to an end of this particular session on RHEL 9 and OpenShift. And audience, you are requested to contact our centers, the facility coordinators, for all your inquiries, and definitely the coordinators will help you in getting enrolled for all new exciting and the existing, whatever the courses are available from Red Hat. And yes, when we have a trainer like Vatsal and the team, you need not to worry. You are in really safe hand and you can future-proof your career. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you all. Thank you, Vatsal.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.